All right, so I'm about to do this. We have our fireplace surround that's a ceramic tile, and when we repainted the living room, noticed it was a little bit more peachy than what we wanted, so we're gonna replace it. However, my wife came up with a great idea. We did some research that we don't actually remove the ceramic tile off the wall. That'd be significantly harder to do, and a lot of work in terms of removing the mantel, etc. And so we can just put the new tile, which is going to be this nice marble subway tile, right over top of it. However, we still have to remove the bottom portion. And so that's what I'm about to do now, is the demo. I'm a little nervous. We were quoted about $2,000 to have this done professionally, done enough research, handy enough. Let's see if we can't do it ourselves.
Famous last words.
Right. So we'll check back in a little bit to see where we're at. To damage the wood. Yeah, we'll see. Well, that didn't do much, did it? Okay. That's why we have a mason's chisel, a pry bar, and a manual grout saw to get in between. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to saw manually here a little piece of the grout away so that I can get underneath the chisel and pop the tile up that way. There we go. See, so that's the thin set mortar that was applied underneath. So it's slow and steady. We'll see how long. Really, I just don't want to damage the wood floors nearby. I'm getting there.
Well, that came up easy.
Yeah. You can still see all the thin set in here. Right. That's.
Put the tile there to see how the.
Well,
how.
This is going to be a different tile, so we'll have to take the thin set out.
Because it'll be too.
It'll stick up just a little bit. Plus, you just need to take the old thin set off anyway. Yes, and yes, I use my wife's safety glasses because I don't know where mine are. Really careful around the mantle here because we didn't remove it.
Missy, come.
We just added a lot more work. Our dog. Nice.
Okay, now go.
It's tiring. Glad I'm not demoing the whole thing. Just brought in a small sledge to see if this will make it a little easier.
Hulk smash.
Trial by experience. We're working.
It's okay.
You're going.
All right, you ready? Okay. So we'll see. It's really just breaking up the tile and shooting it everywhere, so a sledgehammer's not going to work. I'm just going to have to stick to the old method that I was doing, just a little harder.
So now he's doing the sledgehammer with the chisel, which he says is working well, except it's making little pieces of tile all everywhere. I keep sweeping it up, so I'm probably gonna go get some eye protection.
So I figured this might happen. You can tell this is an adhesive as opposed to the thin set, the trowel marks. And it's just on the metal surround, just with all the moving. So I can cut new pieces. I have tile like this. So to keep the same level with the new tile on top, once this is all clean, I'll clean all this up and then instead of, I would break this tile, get it off, so I'll just cut 3 new tiles of the old stuff to put on before we lay the tile. So I said at the beginning, I'm not a professional. Broke my masonry chisel, but I think it's because it wasn't probably meant to do this. It worked because it's such a small area, but I had just a little bit left, so I just moved the crowbar with the sledgehammer a little bit more weight, and it was way easier to remove the tile. Again, I'm not sure that's exactly the right way to do it, but it worked for us. One other tile popped off. It didn't break, it just popped off, so not a big deal. And now what I'm doing is I had an old wood chisel that was all messed up, wasn't really good for wood anymore. And now I just started to chisel away the thin set. It's actually pretty easy. I just have a shop vac, and I'm vacuuming it up because it is a little bit dusty. That's where we're at. Slow and steady progress here. Getting rid of all the thin set off the concrete. Check back in about an hour.
We're still working on trying to get rid of what is it?
Thin set.
The thin set under the tile that we removed, so wish us luck.
All right, we're almost done removing the thin set. It's been a lot harder than I thought. A lot of bending over. At this point, I would highly recommend if you can rent the tool to make this easier, I would do that because it's a little after 3 now, so
4 hours.
yeah, about 4 hours or so. And the tile itself was removed fairly easily.
That was done in about a half hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah. This thin set's been hard, but we're almost there. Next step is to finish off the thin set removal, which is right here. And then these 4 tiles back, let them sit, and then we'll start tiling probably day after tomorrow. Okay. So pardon me, I cut the new tiles. They're just the same thickness as the existing ones, and sanded them with, I used 80 grit, but you can use 60 grit, so I'm told, to put the new tile on. So now I'm applying thin set. Now a lot of things say don't put it on metal. It was on there before, but it came off so loose, so I'm focusing on the upper and lower parts that are harder, rigid steel, not the slightly more movable thinner metal. So I'm applying them here, and then I'll let it set for the day, and then tomorrow we'll start tiling the final product. So it's been a day. We've let the new tiles set with the thin set for 24 hours, a little over. I've sanded the ceramic, and I've wiped them twice now with the mineral spirits to clean any debris or dust off, etc. And then what you see here is that we've laid out all of the wall tiles, which are subway tiles, so we can see what kind of colors we have. They're all natural stone, so you see the variety in terms of marbling, amount of gray versus white, etc. So, and then we have 3 that we identified down here that already had chipped corners, so we use those for the smaller pieces that we have to trim out. And we're going to start here in the center. So we have some work to do, some measurement, but this is the fun part. Most of the demo is done. Okay. So here we are at the end of day 1 of tiling. You see we just did the upper piece, and I'll tell you, it was more mentally exhausting, to use Melissa's words, than we had thought, and 2 people were absolutely necessary. Just with the quick set, or the thin set, pardon me, and how it was adhering, and we wanted to make sure that we had the cuts right, which I bought a little extra towel. I highly recommend you do, because I had some learning for me on how the cuts would work in terms of how the natural stone breaks when you're cutting it. So here we are, we're going to let this sit overnight. You see we propped up, instead of bolting one across and drilling into the masonry with masonry bits and screws all that, we just did it this way to let it sit for the night. Tomorrow we'll come back and finish up the wall, and we'll take it from there. We may wait another day for the floor just to see how we're feeling, but here we are. I think it's looking good. One last thing, we laid out, as I mentioned before, we laid out all the stones, and then this way Melissa went through and match the color, so you didn't have a whole bunch of dark gray here and then white gray right next to it. It's instead you can see how it's intermixed. I think it's going to look awesome when it's done. I'm super pumped, but it's nervous. You gotta throw yourself in and see how it goes. Catch it now. We've cut the pieces. As we're cutting the pieces for the bottom of the floor, we're laying them in before we put any thin set on the back to make sure that they're level, and if there's any rough spots that I need to grind out. I'm just using a Dremel with a grinder on it. You can rent the larger ones if you have a larger space. They're circular, but this is doing the work, it's just taking a little bit longer. Okay, so we just finished putting the tile in on the floors. We broke this up into 3 parts. If you remember back in day 1, we just did the top and we let this sit overnight. And the next day we did both the sides, but they were sagging a lot. So we propped those up and let that set for a day 2, 24 hours. So this morning we came back, of course we have house guests on the way, right? And did the bottom row, the bottom 2 rows, and then the floor. I knew the floor was gonna be tricky, just due to some of the measurements, because we didn't remove the mantel. That's been recommended. We just didn't want to do that. And so we paid the price with multiple measurements and fine tuning and recutting and dremeling the mantel, as well as the old thin set that had stayed on the concrete that we didn't pry up. So all in all, now we're gonna let it set for another day and then come in and grout tomorrow and we should be good.